Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the midweek edition of the P-LotPodcast. John here, joined once again by the main man himself, Michael Angelillo. Michael, how are we doing, man?
The city has an offense problem. And
The city. The Sixers don't have a problem scoring points. They just can't stop points from being scored.
well, our only Sixer chatter of the day will be this. I did see a scattered plot of, you see those charts. It's one sports axis thing on one and one on the bottom. And the two axes were shot creation, and there's like a value attached to it where the further you were to the right, the easier shots that you're getting up. Shot quality, that's what it was, shot quality. All the way to the right, the higher quality of shots you're getting, the easier looks you're getting, the more open looks. All the way on the left, the lower of the quality of shots. And then the vertical axis, up and down, the top was shot making, how well you're making your shots, how well you're making difficult shots, just you're knocking down your shots. And obviously the bottom is not hitting your shots. So the Sixers on that chart were in the very upper, most left, highest point in the top left, not even close to any other team in the league, because they are making shots at a very high clip, but the shot quality is terrible. They are not getting easy looks. They are not getting open looks. They're making a lot of tough shots. So my connection there is that the three teams that are currently playing their respective sport have coaches that have a very hard time getting the easy offense going. How about that? Isn't that really frustrating to deal with? That easy looks are frowned upon in the three respective current Philadelphia sports teams. So that's how I'm doing, I guess, is a is a way to put that. Is
Wow, let's
that
just focus on
rant is
football.
how I'm doing. So yeah, focusing on football, even more pleasurable. The Eagles won. That's what really matters. They beat the Lions. They made Jared Goff look like everything we've said about him in a negative light is like what took place on Sunday night. When it was cold, under 50 degrees, under 40 degrees, it was really
Not in
cold.
a dome.
Not in a dome, very cold, outside against a ferocious pass rush against a not great offensive line. He looked horrible. He was getting battered around, and when he was not accurate. He made probably out of his he only completed 37% of his passes. So out of his almost like 40 throws on the day, I would say probably only like four were like, wow, that was a great ball. That was a great throw by Goff. So not great that, you're 4 for like 40 in terms of what we consider to be like a nice throw.
The win definitely played a part in it, too. And I think a lot of people have been hard on Jalen because he was playing the same
Yeah.
conditions. It was just the fact that he did more than what Jared Goff could do, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. I think schematically the Lions had some open looks. Gosh just wasn't hitting them where Jalen dealt with some bad drops. The Lions had drops too, but the Eagles had some very bad drops and not a lot of open guys, just a lot of garbage. Let's get into that a little bit. The Eagles have an issue offensively, as we all know. The fact of the matter is they're just trying to run their offense exactly like they did last year with a run game that is like less than half the quality of what it was last year. So you trying to run this ultra conservative, barely pushing the ball downfield unless you really need to um, try to run down your throat style of offense. When you're not running the ball well, you're not really doing anything well because your passing game is so elementary and very reliant on being absolutely perfect in your execution every time. They get in ruts, and we know this because they lead the league in three and outs. But we also know it because we're just at the games. We're watching. We are seeing it. It is a constant slog. At least it has been two of the worst games offensively the Eagles have had in a long time the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. From a yeah, to me, I would agree. You know, did the weather affect the offense at all?
Maybe a little.
Maybe I would say that more the Lion game than the Packer game. Like if we had a good offensive performance for the Packer game, then I think we could probably maybe chalk up a little bit of the Lion game to being well, like you couldn't throw the ball. Both teams were selling out to stop the run. Obviously two of the best running backs in the NFL, Jameer Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, for both teams. You know what I did find a little odd though was that I felt like they had more success in the limited reps with Tank Bigsby. And I think that was because they were way less predictable when Tank Bigsby was getting carries versus when Saquon is getting carries.
Yeah, I mean, I think just generally, it might not even be the predictability aspect of it, more so just like if Saquon's back there, they want to give it to Saquon. I guess that makes it predictable, but teams are just always going to be a little more scared of Saquon than they are Bigsby. So I think when Bigsby gets in there, teams are a little less apt to just fly downhill. And Bigsby, Saquon, he looks still very much fine, very much great, but he definitely is doing a little. I think he's overcompensating with some of the movement in the backfield this year. I think he's having like the total Giants PTSD where he's so keen to just having to deal with the guy as soon as he gets the ball versus last year that he's kind of doing that sort of hesitation when there isn't people there. He's a little hesitant to hit holes. He's a
Well,
little
they like
happy feet.
never run the ball out of shotgun. It's either from
Like not anymore, no.
and
Used to,
they just like when they go like empty and they never I feel like they just don't use just like an empty backfield five wide as much, spreading the
as
defense
they
out
should.
as they should because that's hey, when teams just cheat the box, well, and you do five wide, like Jalen Hurts is having a high success rate,
Great success rate, one of the best, highest
and
marks in the league.
yeah, so it really does like I was talking to our cousin, Joe, about the Broncos. We'll talk about the Broncos in a little bit. But he was like, I feel like they're just not showing enough on offense right now. Where like teams, they kind of like I don't know, you kind of see it near the second half of the season where like a lot of these like elite teams that maybe aren't doing the best so far on offense. Kansas City, I would say, being a major culprit of this the last couple of years, where they don't show much on offense, and then like December rolls around and their offense just success rate just dramatically rises. I don't know if the Eagles are one of those teams because it's not like AJ Brown's been hurt all season and now he's back. So we're going to see the offense just improve. Or, Jalen Hurts missed like 5 weeks and, Tanner McKee's just been up and down. Now Jalen's back and he's healthy. I don't know. I sent you that tweet about Kevin Patullo being a head coaching candidate for Tom Pellisario, and
Yeah,
I kind of I joked. I sort of said this in the last show, sort of as a joke, but do we are we thinking like I don't like is he trying to audition to be a head coach by just being like, oh look at what we're doing or like look at all the I don't know it
yeah,
really
no. I mean, that source is probably more just like the Eagles are winning a lot of games. If they win the Super Bowl, odds are teams are going to want to crack at their coordinator. Like it's kind of what it is. But the truth is, with your assumption or guess, whatever prediction that
was more of a tongue in
maybe,
joke.
yeah, that maybe the Eagles aren't one of those teams that are going to be able to just flip a switch because yeah, no one's hurt or like the O line's banged up, but it's not getting any healthier. Um, you know, it's a coaching issue. It is a strategy and coaching issue where they're winning games, so they're not really concerned with changing a ton. But you're just lucky you have such a great defense. But if that defense starts to flounder, I just can't know. I cannot truly trust the offense. There's a lack of wanting to establish what they are and what they believe in. The Lions. run 3 linebackers on the field at one of the highest clips in the entire league, if not the highest, and they did that again on Sunday night. And the Eagles just kinda countered it by trying to run 2, 3 tight ends on the field, heavy package, jumbo package, extra linemen, instead of, like, going against it. Every week we talk about how the Eagles just let the other team dictate what they do on offense. If this team likes to do this, well, okay, I guess we're gonna not be able to run our good stuff here. If they cloud AJ Brown, I guess we're not gonna be able to really let him loose and run his routes. Or, if this team runs a lot of linebackers, well, we got to be ready, so we're gonna have a bunch of big bodies out there. Instead of trying to put them in conflict, make them take their good linebackers off the field for D-backs, make them put their good run defending linebackers in coverage. Take advantage of that. Beat that. That's what, Saquon was open, Jalen overthrew him a little bit, but that's because you went into empty and you had to put a bad coverage linebacker on Saquon freaking Barkley. There's a lot of little things that they can start adding wrinkles to, and it'll just make their offense better, like doing empty
That's
more,
what you saw with,
you know?
Kellen Moore.
Yes, yes, it wasn't anything wholesale crazy change, but it was just more of what was successful, and you're not seeing the Eagles lean into what works, and, like, empty is a perfect example of that. Jalen, like you said, high success rate, high run rate too, that those quarterback draws are wide open because no one's over the middle of the field. You get a lot of isolated quick looks. It makes so much sense, and they don't do it, and it's super frustrating that they don't do it, and it, leads to what this offense has looked like, and it's very safe to say that I think anyone with a brain and a pair of eyes are concerned with the Eagles' offense. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine this is. I feel like it's way too late now where you're like, they need time to gel, or
No, this is just what they are,
like they just saving it. Yeah, like to me, you have to think that Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, to a certain extent, have to be, if they're like, they have to think in the back of their heads like, all right, like, we're winning, but like as soon as like it costs us, like we need to make a change, because this is clearly, you're devoting $120 million of your salary cap to Saquon, Jalen Hurts, AJ, and Smitty. So you can't, like, truthfully, a big portion of what you're spending on your cap on is devoted to the offense. Because Michael, like on defense, like who are they really paying on defense?
like Zach Bond, and that is it for now.
So
So, genuinely,
you've pretty much devoted most of your cap on the side of the ball that's underperforming,
I mean,
and
think about it. Reed Blankenship's on a rookie deal. Quinion Mitchell's on a rookie deal. Adoree Jackson's on like a minimum. Cooper DeJean's on a rookie deal. Jalen Hunt's on a rookie deal. Jalen Carter's on a rookie deal. Jordan Davis is on a rookie deal. Nolan Smith's on a rookie deal. Moro Jomo's on a rookie deal.
like
Jalen Phillips is on a prorated. Brandon Graham's on a minimum.
they're probably gonna
Bakuba,
re-sign.
for Christ's sakes, on a rookie deal. The linebackers, Dean and Jahad Campbell, are on rookie deals. It's just Bond. You're only paying Zach Bond right now.
Yeah, and why is the Eagles defense playing so well, Michael?
Because they have a bunch of young, hungry SOBs, and
No.
they're
Oh,
greatly
yes.
coached, and they're greatly coached.
Bingo! Ding,
Yeah,
ding, 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 ding,
yes.
ding. So yeah, man. And what happens when like frick, the Eagles fired a defensive coordinator 10 weeks into his job? It didn't. And look, it didn't
And those were awful players. I mean,
right, but
and listen, part of having a great coach is Vic chooses his players. He chooses who he wants to draft. He chooses who he wants to sign. He chooses who he wants to trade for. The great players being here are a huge product of the coach's philosophy and who
so
he wants.
so let's just take Lane out of it because he has a Liz Frank sprain. And be honest, he's been hurt the whole season. Like the Eagles are 5-1 when Fred Johnson finishes a game.
Yeah.
That means Lane Johnson has only finished 4 games this year. Like
Yeah,
shout, I
no,
mean,
Lane,
like
people making the joke, whatever, he's like end of Eagles career, Jason Peters, but and like I think he's better than what Peters was when it was like getting real bad, where it was looking like this. But it's very similar that, oh, he's in there for a game, second quarter rolls around, he's banged up with something, probably not going to return, and it's like, and now he's out for at least a month. It's not good.
No, it's a shame, but at the same time, though, Michael, like my point I was gonna say is like Cam Jurgens is all of a sudden bad, Landon Dickerson's all of a sudden bad, Jordan Mailata's all of a sudden bad, Saquon Bart. No, it's coaching. To me, it really is coaching. And look, say what you want about Sirianni, he's not going anywhere. It's going to be Patullo's head because in 2023 when they basically they gave Nick the deal that Doug didn't take. Apparently, the reason why they gave Nick the deal was because the players were all like, "No, we like Coach Nick. No, we like Nick. We don't hate Nick." And look, Hertz could have just straight up buried Sirianni, and his opinion would matter more than a lot of other guys' opinions. You would,
Sure.
right? So, whatever. I mean, and I know like he did pick Patullo. Listen, man, Howie
I mean,
Roseman.
they gave him the keys twice, and 2 times we're driving,
Well, I would say for Brian Johnson, the Eagles seemed very high as overall as a team. Felt very high on Brian Johnson because he was considered like a in 2022. People were like, "Oh my god, look at the job he did with Jalen Hurts." Like if the Eagles didn't promote him, another team would have likely hired him to be an OC.
listen, I
However,
understand that. It doesn't
however,
it's his
no one
staff.
has said that about Kevin Patullo before.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's 0 for 2 on really truly picking your own OC, and well, 1 for 2 1 for 3, I'll give him Steichen. Um, but, Kellen Moore being from the upstairs, taking the deal of, "Listen, we're gonna hire an outside guy," and, like, it paying off. I don't know how, I like, Howie and Jeffrey do deserve a little bit of blame because how do you not just repeat that philosophy? Why
Or
did
you
you give
say
him
to
the keys
Nick
back?
Sirianni, like, "Hey, you should give us a short list of candidates. We'll come up with another list of candidates to go along with it."
Sure, sure.
You don't be. You should be like, well, think about it. If his philosophy, if Sirianni's philosophy is like, everyone's got to earn their spots, work hard, get your job, etc., then why are you handing a guy a job?
Listen, I get it. It's just very frustrating.
It definitely
But
feels like
oh,
it definitely felt like it's like, oh, Kevin's work. It almost was like, I don't say a pity. I think it was like a pity hire. Like, wow, Kevin's been has been here when we had this unprecedented run of franchise success.
yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
I just think that came from Nick. I
Well,
think he
it's
wanted to
almost like
promote his guy.
it feels a lot like he's like the new Press Taylor.
Maybe, or yeah, sure, micro. It's just bad. We'll see. We'll see what happens the rest of the year. But what we feel like we can be confident in that will happen the rest of the year is the great defense. The defense is all the way back, seemingly, to what it was by, I'd say, like December of last year and on, where every game was dominant from the defense. The back end was locking everything up, and they were getting tremendous pressure from the front four. Zach Bond was legitimate, depoy candidate level, tackling everything. Kobe Dean was playing awesome. All that stuff was fantastic for the stretch run defensively. And in the beginning of the year, there were some growing pains. There were some new rookies on the field. Makuba, blowing some explosive plays. Jalen Carter was a little banged up. Nolan Smith was obviously banged up. Jalix Hunt was starting slow. All these different reasons. Quinion was banged up to why the defense maybe came out a little sluggish to start the year, not as dominant as we had previously seen, in that Tampa game and early in that Rams game. It is now gelled like a Fangio defense kind of takes time too. They worked into each other. They worked in the rookies really nicely. Jahad Campbell was great filling in for Nakobe Dean, who's been back and been fantastic. I was worried, maybe I'd rather have Campbell out there, but Dean has just been incredible. Zach Bond is just as good. Cooper DeJean is just as good. Quinion Mitchell got a lot better somehow than he already was last year. Reed Blankenship having a great season. Makuba settled in nicely. And you got your pass rushers, Jalen Hunt and Nolan Smithfield healthy. Your fantastic acquisition of Jalen Phillips, who has totally stabilized the defensive line. And then your D tackles are healthy and they're dominating like you expected them to when you drafted them. Jalen Carter's been out of his mind. Jordan Davis has had a fantastic season, and Moro Ojomo has arguably could have be better than what Milton Williams has been up to this point last year. So the Jalen Phillips trade was really the cherry on top for the defense, and it really, really looks like it's settling into the top unit in the league. Jalen Phillips' impact cannot be overstated, and everyone else just looks awesome.
Well, apparently, since the trade deadline, a lot of these acquisitions so far have been making an impact. You saw Quentin
Absolutely.
Williams on Monday. You saw. I guess let's just talk about the. We'll talk. I'll start talking about the games. I mean, let's just talk about because I just brought it up. Monday Night Football, snooze fest. We all know what's going to happen. Raiders stink. Raiders offense is bad. Chip Kelly needs to go back to college. He's not an NFL coach. I don't know what
No.
possessed the Raiders to make that decision, but they
Yeah,
did.
a poorly
Um,
ran franchise.
and the Cowboys. I mean, look, we know the defense is bad, but the Raiders' offense is pathetic, and
Yeah.
they
I mean,
can't
bad
block.
offenses, but I guess, that's obviously a big factor, but it has felt like the Cowboys defense has been a little bit better the last, 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, I think adding Quinn Williams definitely helps. I also think for the Cowboys,
Kenny Clark's playing well too,
yeah, but
definitely.
they also gave up 27 points to the hapless Arizona Cardinals and made Jacoby Brissett look like not I would say really good, but like the Cardinals decided to shelve Kyler Murray for 4 weeks as a result of it.
No, listen, I understand. But yeah, Cowboys offense
We'll
looked
preview the
good for the
Eagle
most
game because
part.
obviously this is Dallas week. We'll talk about that on the weekend here.
Yeah.
Let's just start with. We'll just go through. We have our list up of games. Oh man. So we probably had one of our worst tailgates in a long time because of the wind.
Yeah.
I could tell when we were at the game you were making fun of me for how miserable I looked.
Well, I mean, it was just everyone looked pretty uncomfortable during the game.
That's one way to put it. I mean, I would go with PO'd, angry,
Yeah.
resentful,
And it all started with the
enraged.
tailgate. It started with the bad tailgate.
But I would say it really began when we were sitting in our cars waiting for 2 hours, paying attention to this abomination of a Europe game. The Commanders and the Dolphins. I started Mariota in fantasy and he actually got more points than Bo Nix in fantasy.
And they only scored 13 points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I delivered BTA to the guy that beat me in our fantasy league championship. That felt good. A little bit
That
of
does feel good.
revenge.
Yeah.
Felt me good because I was starting Marcus freaking Mariota.
Yeah. Yeah. So that game was pretty miserable, as you can tell, because John's the only interest for him was talking about his fantasy football team because the game was so bad. So
I mean, listen, man. Like,
it was
listen,
entertaining, I guess, but it was just slop. It was close.
entertaining.
It was close. That's what,
I
back
mean,
and forth. It was back and forth stupidity, bad coaching decisions, bad quarterback play,
do you think Dan
Mariota
Quinn's
throwing an
getting fired
interception on
after
the
this season?
no. No, it's Josh Harris. What do you think's gonna happen?
Oh, that's a good
This
point.
is this guy, Dan Quinn's got at least 2
2 years.
more years after this one.
Yeah, because this team, I don't know. That I thought I picked the Commanders, Michael, as I thought, how many times are they going to get their teeth kicked in until they might get close to winning a game? And they probably should have won.
Uh, yeah, they had opportunity. They had opportunities. You get the ball in overtime, not the end of the world. You're feeling fine, and then you just first play's a pick, and you're just okay. Game's over now. They're just bad. They're
Well,
not
no.
a
What
good
about
team,
the Dolphins' questionable goal line play calling?
right? Yeah, the decisions to go for it.
I
At
don't like
times,
listen.
go
Everyone,
crazy sometimes.
so I don't think them going for it was necessarily a bad decision.
It
I know
wasn't
that
a
sounds
terrible
controversial,
one.
but handing it off up the middle like 3 straight times when they're just selling out because that's the only thing they're capable of
The
stopping.
reason why going for it's a bad decision is because you don't trust your quarterback, and they made that very evident that they don't trust Tua. Like, right there, running it 3 straight times on the goal line, just handing it off in different variations, and it getting stuffed because you don't trust your quarterback to make a pass. You know, maybe I wouldn't be so aggressive if I didn't think my quarterback was good, and, like, Mike McDaniel doesn't think he's good. So, he's aggressive because he wants to be, but he doesn't trust them to make the play. Um, but yeah, just slop on both sides. Dolphins, they keep getting these ugly wins. They're just mucking up their own future, I guess. But the
Well,
next
I would
game,
say so.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I would say yeah. That's a pretty good way to describe it because what's going to probably wind up happening is they'll pick like eighth or ninth, and then there's going to be a player that gets picked like seventh before them, and they're going to pick like I don't know, like a Michigan player, and he's going to be bad, and then they're going to be like, oh, if we just sucked like we were supposed to, we could have had, like Peter Woods Jr.
anyone,
You know,
yeah. So ugly game there, but
well, this
next
this next
game
so
also a
listen,
little
man.
ugly.
Panthers, yes, low key, very ugly. Panthers Falcons.
Oh,
Michael,
you have Panthers Falcons up.
yeah, I'm using the link you sent me.
You don't have the Packers Giants?
No,
No. All right, well, go ahead. Falcons Panthers.
Falcons Panthers. Bryce Young passes for Panthers franchise record 448 yards, 3 touchdowns. Um, pretty much they pretty much delivered like the death blow to the Atlanta Falcons now that Michael Penix is going to be out 9 months to get his ACL reconstructed because Michael Shocker, a player who has bad knees, has 6 knee surgeries in college and high school, now has a knee injury in the pros. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So just truly one of the worst, one of the bottom tier draft picks in recent history in the NFL. Um, they also traded away their first round pick this year to move up to take a pass rusher
To the
who hasn't
Rams.
been who hasn't been that impactful to the Rams, who's an NFC contender, who's going to get gifted with some top 5 pick this year.
Wow.
Truly, you know, unfortunate
Well, I mean, in
circumstances for everybody
fairness, we
else.
got
But the
gifted
Falcons
Jalen
stink, man.
Carter. So,
Yeah.
and the Rams will
Well,
probably draft a quarterback with that. Let's be realistic.
I mean, I don't I guess they could, depending on how they feel about Stafford or whatever, but, I mean, the Falcons, they're in ruins, man. It's a shame because they got some really nice players, but they definitely need a tear down
Yeah,
of
the Rams kind of
a
remind
lot of
me of
important people.
Rams kind of remind me a little
The
bit.
Rams?
Sorry, excuse me, the Falcons. Pardon me.
Okay.
The Falcons remind me of like the early days Chargers when they had LaDainian Tomlinson, when they were like absolute trash.
Yeah,
But he would like run for like 1,500 yards and like 10 touchdowns. But then when they got good is when he started like actually breaking records. I
yeah.
feel like that's what's going to be for Bijan Robinson and that offense because Zach Robinson just flat out is not a good OC.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep
they're not super well coached. They're not super good on details, not a good quarterback. It's just a bad recipe. And yeah, a lot of structural decisions. We gotta talk about the Panthers a little bit.
yeah.
Bryce
So I
Young
want to
for
talk about
like
the Panthers,
400
particularly.
something yards, dude.
So Tet McMillan is gonna be like a top 10 receiver like next year. Like
Yeah,
he is
Ted
legit.
McMillan's quite good. He is quite
And
good.
I remember him coming out. He was one of the most divisive, like top receiver prospects we've seen. Like I saw one take where they were like, he's either gonna be J Jaw or Drake London. There is absolutely no like in between. He's looking
Yeah,
more like
and
Drake London than J Jaw. I'll tell you that much, Michael.
yeah, no, he looks great. Bryce Young threw for 400 something yards, which is pretty crazy. The Falcons defense we thought was good, turns out not so good. We
Well,
thought it'd be better.
I saw something like who's like been the most disappointing like cornerback in the NFL, and it's been AJ Terrell. He has been getting absolutely dog walked the last several weeks. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah, no,
is it the defensive scheme? Is he just like turning? Is he just declining? I mean, he's a veteran, but he's only
yeah,
27.
I was
Michael,
gonna say he's not that big of a veteran.
like, is he battling an injury? Like, are the Falcons a team that like in the off season are they just gonna have like a whole like a fire sale with their veterans like Jesse Bates the third? Like you
I
suck.
mean, that's what I mean. Like,
Like
I
you
don't.
need draft picks because you just traded a bunch of them to get James Pierce. Like
Yeah, no, they gotta tear it down. To be honest with you, it's just it's you don't have a quarterback. I'm sorry, you're not winning anything without a quarterback,
I
and they
agree.
don't have one. The Panthers though do look good. Bryce Young, not good, but they look frisky. They're probably not going to make the playoffs, but they do play Tampa twice, and they've beaten some or played some close games against good teams this year. I think I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think when it's
Here's the thing
Christmas
with
time,
Bryce Young, though. I want to bring up. So Bryce Young, peripherally, his number. Here's like his numbers: 62.7% completion percentage. Okay, he's on pace to throw for a little bit under 4,000 yards. Keep in mind he missed a week and he got knocked out of a game. So okay, that's fine. He looks like he's gonna throw like 27 touchdowns, like 14 interceptions. That's not bad.
I mean, statistically,
His quarterback rating
that's
is 86. That's bad.
I mean, those are just like fine numbers. They're not great at all. Um, but like he has weeks like this where it shows some promise. It's just one of those things where he's so small that when you have to put your max effort into just like what are supposed to be the easy things, it's very difficult to succeed at the NFL level. We look at these big quarterbacks, these strong arm quarterbacks, and they can just hit the easier stuff without straining themselves as much, without needing to fully step into the throw. If pressure's in their face, they can use mostly their arm and not have to get a full motion in there. Bryce Young really can't do that just because he's physically limited. Besides Dylan Gabriel, he's probably the most physically limited quarterback in the NFL. And when you're like that, it really just makes being consistent difficult because you're going to have some games like this where he throws for 400 something yards because the arm was fired up, the arm was cooking, and he had time and was delivering good passes. But then you're going to have a game where the pressure is a little too strong and, you know, he's a little off with his arm. Maybe it's cold or whatever. And he can't put max effort into the easy things. And now he can't hit anything. And he looks like garbage. So I think he's going to be able to be a starter, here and there and stuff throughout his career. But I do think he has just some limitations that are going to keep him from being a consistently good quarterback.
So what's the next game you want to talk about?
Um, what is next? Let's go Packers Giants. Jordan Love went out of this game for a little bit. Josh Jacobs went out of this game for a little bit. It was looking bleak early on for the
Oh,
Packers.
the best defense for the New York Giants was their god awful turf.
Yeah, yes, it was banging up some players. The Giants went on their opening drive touchdown maybe, and the Packers were struggling to move the ball very similarly to how they were struggling to move the ball against the Eagles. Romeo Doubs had some drops. The Love and Jacobs getting hurt limit them a little bit, and Jacob or Love coming back into the game definitely helped. They did get some things moving a little bit, but they won a pretty ugly 27 to
Shout out
20.
Malik Willis threw a touchdown, came in for relief for Jordan
Yeah,
Love. He got hurt.
it was just ugly. Kicking wasn't great. It was just a really mess of a game, and Packers are definitely lucky to bang that win away with the way the season had been turning after back-to-back losses and
I
back-to-back bad
completely forgot
offenses.
Isaiah Hodgins is still on the Giants, but he caught five
Yeah,
passes for 57
yeah,
yards.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'll say. I mean, for the Packers, like, look, two. This is their third like bad game in a row.
offensively, yes, for sure.
Just overall bad,
Yeah,
I think. Um, they're 6-3-1. They're in the driver's seat for the wild card in the NFC. I
yeah.
think definitely cruising for a playoff spot, barring collapse. They should finish with 10 or 11 wins. I don't know, like Jordan Love is definitely like one of those quarterbacks where it's like he's definitely like a victim. His receivers drop way too many passes. His coach would like if you were to say which coach would likely mess up Thanksgiving dinner at the very end, like taking the turkey out and like just dropping it on the floor, is probably Matt LaFleur. The way he kind of handles his in-game management, particularly at the end of games.
Yeah.
Like I guess what I'm saying is like he's definitely turning into that like, well, if Jordan Love just had like a Devontae Adams like Aaron Rodgers did and all the receivers Brett Favre had, like he would be at their level.
And it's like
Probably true.
he needs some better coaching to, or at least just like I don't know. We see how their running game
Like
isn't
is Mike McCarthy a better
incredible.
coach than Matt LaFleur?
I think they're very similar. I think they at one point were key drivers in what was a great offense. And then I think as time has gone on, things have gotten a bit stale and
Like if you're
they've
like
gotten a little
if
more
you're
passive.
Green like if
Think
you're
of Mike
Green
McCarthy
Bay,
with the Packers and then like early Green Bay stuff, and then what he was with the Cowboys when he was super passive, running the ball instead of letting Dak just air it out. And you think about what the Packers were early, it's just totally different. And Matt LaFleur is kind of turning into that same way.
so
So
Matthew Golden is I don't know if you want to call him a bust.
I mean, he just wasn't very, I guess, polished his ton out of the draft, and he's been banged up, and
Like the guys picked after Matthew Golden, like they're not picking Jackson Dart. They weren't going to pick James Pierce. Malachi Starks, no. Tyleek Williams, like, no. Josh Connerly, like, no. Jihad Campbell, no. It's sort of like
yeah.
if they wanted a wide receiver, I just don't understand if you want to be aggressive. Like Emeka Egbuka got picked 4 spots before Golden did.
Could have traded up, like absolutely.
Like if you want to really improve a position, like trade up. Like that's the thing. It's like that's kind of like I think that's a really good analogy of how they're never aggressive in anything. The only
Yeah,
and honestly, like, would you consider the Packers aggressive considering they got Micah Parsons for well below his trade market value?
I mean they just pushed. They made an easy trade to make. I don't know, like it
Does
was
that mean you're aggressive? I don't
no,
think so.
no. The Cowboys called you because they were looking for a good D tackle.
The Cowboys called you because they didn't want to trade him to the Eagles.
Yeah, all that stuff. So
Let me.
yeah,
I want to bring up one last thing about the Giants, and we'll move on. Abdul Carter. Apparently, he got suspended for a series because last week the team couldn't find him at the practice facility because he was asleep in the meeting room.
yeah, yeah. They said he was recovering or whatever, but yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
It's
yeah,
just I mean, they're pretty dysfunctional, it is what it is. I mean, they got some players now, I guess, but they're literally all hurt, so we'll see.
yes,
Next game we have is, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills. The Bills in what was like a retro Josh Allen game, a very 2020 Josh Allen game when he first kinda realized he might be good. He was still pretty reckless. Like obviously it wasn't 2018, 2019 reckless Josh Allen, but when he did officially break out when they got Stephon Diggs, he still threw a lot of interceptions. That was like a meme, like, oh, Josh Allen throws 16 interceptions. Like he throws a ton because he was still reckless, pushing the ball, thinking he could do
yeah.
everything all the time.
You know how I just said that like Jordan Love is definitely like that victim quarterback.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is maybe between him and like I would say like him, Herbo, and Love are like the victim QBs, and he's top
So
of the
not
list.
their fault. No, yeah, Josh Allen. So he was reckless, turned the ball over a lot, but he accumulated 6 total touchdowns. So you got both ends of the spectrum, and essentially single-handedly, because he was giving away points too by turning it over to Tampa, he kinda just outpaced his own defense of like, "Okay, I know my defense isn't gonna be great, so I just gotta be a little bit better than them," and he was really good. I mean, the Bucks were able to run all over Buffalo and get a lot of possessions, so Josh Allen really had to be throwing that Superman cape, and he, broke some buildings on the way, but he ended up making enough plays to lead them to a win. Big win. Buffalo needed that.
Yeah, I would say again, we talk about Tampa Bay and we're like, they're always hurt this time of year. They're always banged up. And again,
And they were never that good. I never fully believed in them. I
I
thought they
think
were
they're good when
overplaying
they're
their
healthy.
hand.
The problem is they're never healthy, so we'll actually never really know what their ceiling is because they're always hurt.
It just feels like they're always this. Like it's summer stretches, it looks great, and that Baker MVP chatter died very, very quickly, didn't it? And,
Yeah, even though he had a
like
good game, no, Baker had a good game. It was just
I just
like,
mean, like, generally, like, week 4, it was like or week 6, it was like, "Your MVP is Baker Mayfield," and it was like,
yeah,
"Okay, let's"
yeah.
like that.
I would say that Bucks defense just looks old. Like Vita Vea has been around for a while. Levante David has been in the NFL. Gosh, it feels like almost 20 years now. At this point,
Yeah, yeah,
feels like it, doesn't it?
yeah.
Um, like their corners aren't good. I'm sorry, they just aren't. And like you kind of saw it in this game, like yeah, they were getting turnovers, but like you're letting Josh. I mean, like I don't know, Dolphins kind of gave you a recipe on how to stop the Bills' offense. You know, sell out to stop James Cook. I just think that they sold out so much to stop James Cook, they just let Josh Allen run wild on them and just
I mean, 19 of 30 for 317 passing yards. That's absurd, man. That is such a stupid stat line. But, I mean, Sean Tucker going for 19 carries and a buck 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not good for Buffalo. Tucker's a nice little player. He's got some juice coming into the league from Syracuse, but he's, you know, it's not Bucky Irving, and you got thrashed. So their run defense is putrid. You can like I think if Buffalo wants a chance to actually, achieve their dreams, they're gonna have to like pick up their pace a little bit. I know running the ball has been successful for them a lot, but I think you're just gonna need to have to keep up with the
This is
bad
what hurts
defense.
Buffalo is I remember back in the day. So actually the year the Colts won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, Michael, their defense would literally give up like 35 points like every game. And Peyton Manning
Right.
had to basically throw like 4 touchdowns in every game but for them to like stand a chance at winning a game. And then like do you remember Bob Sanders?
Yeah.
He was injured for most of that year. He came back and their defense just magically was good.
Right.
Why am I telling this story?
Who's
There is
Bob
no Bob
Sanders in the Bills?
Sanders
Yeah,
that's going to come
okay.
and save the Bills unless is Damar Hamlin still hurt? Like, no, that's not happening. Like, no,
Yeah. Yeah,
he's
no. So then Buffalo does not have a guy coming back that's gonna save them. On defense, this is just what they, I think, can max out at offense first. Um, Texans Titans, really not much to say here other than Houston's defense is still
I
great.
told you, bro. Laying big points on the road with Davis Mills is not good. Doesn't matter who the opponent is.
No, but I mean, Cam Ward made some big throws essentially to cover this game. Because if not, they would have lost 13-6. It was ugly.
I feel
But
bad for Cam
Houston's
Ward
defense,
because I think
yeah,
he can be good. They just have like just it's
they're the
just
worst
so
team in the
bad.
NFL. Like it's just they're the worst team in the league. That's just what it is with the Titans. But yeah, Texans defense is legit. CJ Stroud is still out. It'll be interesting. You know what? Let's just pick Thursday. We just talked about the Bills. We just talked about the Texans. let's get into Thursday real quick. We'll pivot and then we'll circle back to the rest of Sunday. Um, Bills are 6-point favorites on the road against the Houston Texans. Obviously, CJ Stroud is still out with a concussion, so it will be Davis Mills. However, John, what are you thinking with this Texans defense? Are they going to be able to shut down the Bills in a way similar to the Dolphins' ability and not require all that much from their offense, or at least maybe be able to move the ball with Woody Marks and Nick Chubb down the field and kick enough field goals or score 2 touchdowns and win a game like 17-10, against Buffalo? Are they gonna be able to do
I
that?
mean, here's my thing with the Texans. I mean, they're what the hell? All right, no, sorry. So, all right, I'm okay. The Bills are laying 6 points on the road in this Thursday night game. That just to me feels that's insane. I know it's Davis Mills. Like I get it. It's Davis Mills.
Yeah.
The Texans are banged up on offense, but to your point, Texans defense is legit. And when the Bills have to play a good defense or a defense that's playing well for like a couple weeks,
Yeah.
they
I mean, this
can't
is a great defense. We know
like
this.
they can't score points. I
Yeah.
think I'm taking Houston.
Me too, John. I'm also taking the Texans with you, +6. I can't shake the thought of Buffalo's offense not struggling. I just think Josh Allen, if he's gonna try to play like he did against Tampa and be just super chaotic, I don't think he's gonna get those splash plays where he's gonna accumulate 6 touchdowns, even though he turns the ball over in some incredibly terrible ways. I don't think he's gonna be able to just brute force that. I think he's gotta be a lot more cautious with the ball, and I think that's how Buffalo's offense can get in trouble a little bit when they're a
I
little
feel
too
like
restrictive.
actually I'm going a different direction on this. I think Thursday is going to be a very tomorrow's game is going to be a sloppy game because you have two D coordinators coaching against one another. You're going to see some questionable clock management, questionable decisions, not a lot of points scored.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think we're getting a tight game, low scoring, and yeah, I'm taking Texans with you to keep that one close. So back to Sunday, Bears Vikings NFC North matchup there. The Bears took it off a walk-off field goal, 19-17. The Bears continue to be super strange. Caleb Williams like never gets sacked, makes a lot of plays after not getting sacked, but they just can't finish drives. They can't. They stall. They a lot of mistakes, self-inflicted wounds. Some weeks they look great, some weeks they look terrible. This was another
I
bad
mean,
one.
let's just cut to the chase. The reason why they won this game is because 9
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah. The Bears defense, which is terrible, especially without Jalen Johnson, one of the worst units in the league, especially through the air, played a great game against a very, very, very bad quarterback in JJ McCarthy. He
And not just that
is
too. This
putrid.
Minnesota Viking, one thing no one talks about when it comes to the Vikings is that last year, like Aaron Jones, like the year of like the resurgent running backs, like on new teams. So like Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry,
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley. One guy that not a lot of people talked about was Aaron Jones.
Yeah,
On,
he was a little older, I think, than those guys, but yeah.
but he was pretty good for them last year. This year he's just been banged up. So they've
He's
been
old.
yeah, yes, exactly. And the fact is like they don't have a ground game. Why you're gonna crack up. Because JJ McCarthy was a handoff merchant in college.
Mhm.
They can't they're like Kevin O'Connell is kind of forced to make him throw 30 to 35 times a game, and he's just not really ready for that.
Yeah, he's weak. Theo did a nice little breakdown on him. He's weak, so he throws with a very strong motions, very similar to Bryce Young. And that messes with his timing and it messes with some of his touch. I think if he wants to get better, he needs to spend the entire offseason bulking up and just getting a lot bigger. but I think from miles away, we could have all seen this being a bad draft pick. If you go to any big Michigan game that he won, you see, oh, JJ McCarthy went 7 of 10 passing against Penn State here in the win. Good for them. You know, Penn State, he went, whatever, nothing stat line again in another win in the playoff or whatever. So he wasn't asked to do a lot. They just showed off their great defense and their great running game and did not care about developing JJ McCarthy. So kind of shame on Michigan for that regard, but this leads you to just not being a good pro. And so far, the struggles are very, very real. And there's just way too many things to clean up that you could expect it to get better in a very short amount of time because he might not just be able to do it. Or if he is going to be able to, it's going to take a hell of a lot more time than a few weeks to figure that out. So awful he was. And it led to the Bears defense playing a good game, even though the Bears defense is bad. And they win a game on a walk-off field goal. So the Bears keep finding ugly ways to win games, currently sitting at the top of the NFC North. How crazy is that, John? That the week before Thanksgiving, the Bears, Jesus, the Bears are in first place in the NFC North. Did we not see that? Didn't see that one coming. But, shout out them. They keep finding ugly ways to win. They're in a good spot to make the playoffs as it stands.
Well, let's not. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, Bears making the playoffs. I mean, I think they
It's not a
can.
guarantee, but like they're in a good spot, man. They're
So
seven
I
and
think I
three.
actually have a. Can I read you this future parlay about playoff teams to make the playoffs and miss the playoffs that
Okay.
I cooked up like in August? So I have. Oh, this is dead because the Cardinals are on it. Never mind. So I have Bills, Ravens, Eagles make the playoffs. Saints, Browns, Giants, Jets, Titans, Raiders miss the playoffs. Seahawks to miss the playoffs. Bears to make the playoffs. Cardinals to make the playoffs.
Well, the Seahawks and Bears did you in. Or Cardinals, that is, did you
Yeah.
in, potentially.
Now I have one. Oh, that's cooked too because I have the Colts to miss the playoffs.
Yep. So it's hard to predict, man. It's a hard thing to predict. Next game, another game, not much to talk about here. Steelers Bengals. The Bengals got railed. Steelers defense seems to be playing at a better clip than they were definitely early in the season.
I
They
thought the Bengals were very past due offensively to get railed with Joe Flacco at quarterback, and wow.
Yeah. I mean, this is not a good Steelers defense, or it wasn't, and it still isn't rating out well, but they played well. They did not give up a lot of anything to Jamar Chase and Joe Flack or to
Well, the
the
Bengals
Higgins.
now the Bengals, Jamar Chase, has he been suspended yet for spitting on Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, yeah, he was suspended 1 game. He appealed, and I think he lost his appeal. I don't know if it went through yet, but yeah, he is gonna miss a game for spitting, clear as day. Jalen Ramsey, we know he can get under people's skin. And he definitely did there. Cannot do that. Jamar Chase, we know that's a 1 game suspension now. That is, you know, the NFL decided they were going to just make that a 1 game punishment. And there you go. Punishment given out to the great Jamar Chase. I'm sure
Do you
fantasy
think
owners are thrilled about that one.
do you think with the Steelers are now like I don't know winning game like they're 6-4 like can we just transition to the Ravens Browns.
Sure.
So yeah, let's Ravens Browns. So Ravens are 5-5. They're 1 game behind the Steelers, despite starting 1-5. You know, Lamar got injured. It's like they got pretty much as low as you possibly can. It felt like at the
Yeah.
time, and we brought up well, they got to win like 6 or 7 games in a row. Which listen, it
So
doesn't
far,
matter how
so good, man.
I don't care who you are. That's still impressive if they can win 7 games in a row. The NFL should be scared if they win like 8, 9 of their next 10 games.
Yeah, no, because they have flaws too. This is far from the best iteration of the Ravens. It's kind of how I feel about every team in the NFL. Uh, that was consistently good the last 5 years or so. But um, At this point, they just gotta stack wins and, like, hope that things come together as the season goes on, but the way that every team in the
Would they
NFL looks at
be?
the moment,
I mean,
they
and the
all
big
look
thing for them
ugly.
is if they win the listen, if the Ravens win the division, I guess like is there a big difference between being the 3 seed and the 4 seed?
In the AFC?
Because on
I mean,
wild
they're all
card
about the
weekend,
same, man, it's just a home
wild
game.
card weekend, we could get Bills Ravens. Bills as the 5th seed, Ravens as the 4 seed.
Yeah, no, listen, I think if there was ever a year that it's, like, frustrating, but ultimately okay to be dysfunctional and not the best version of yourselves, it feels like this year in the NFL. Um, every good team has a, like, serious flaw at this point or just, like, are not what they usually are or supposed to be, whatever. This is a good year to kind of be in that group because anything can happen on any given week, any given game. We're seeing it all over the league. Big upsets and great teams losing a lot, and it's I think in the playoffs, things are going to shake out a certain way. You could get some, new looks in both leagues, but especially in the AFC, in terms of just some weird outcomes and some big, you know, ugly wins and bad losses on both sides. So it'll be it'll
So
be interesting.
speaking of ugly losses, what the Jaguars and Chargers, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a bizarre game. The Jags defense looked the best it's looked in quite some time. They had a struggle bus ride there, but they turned up against a team with a bad O line, banged up O line, I should say. And Justin Herbert played pretty horrible. Pretty big stinker from him, and I mean the game just felt like it was over from the beginning. Lawrence only throwing 22 passes, only for 150 yards, and they win a game 35-6. So I know the defense was in there, but just a
But you had
just a strange game,
but
dude. That's what I'm talking about.
you saw Bashal Tootin finally, I guess, in like the Bucky Irving role, like really flourish, and then
He ran well. It
Travis
just
Etienne ran well. It felt like a Bucks game, except
yeah, no,
Jags.
for sure. And it like
And Trevor Lawrence just doesn't have the PR Baker Mayfield does.
no, of course not. But it's like this is it, man. Like the Jags, they look dead. Dude, they look like dead as hell. And they come out and win 35 to
Do you
6.
think
I
like
know
do
it's
you think like Liam Cohen just tore them a new butthole after that loss last week?
maybe. I just think this is the league, you know? You get all this up and downness. You look at the Chargers, they haven't looked great
And listen,
recently, but they
Harbaugh's not
haven't looked
leaving to
this
go back to
bad.
college because of the whole Connor Stallion thing. Like, there's no way Harbaugh is going back to college, and the team that hires him doesn't sanction him, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's having like pretty decent success in the NFL too. It's not nothing. But you know, go for a good game and then you go for this, and it's just everyone's all over the place. Bad loss for the Chargers, very bad, but big win for the Jags.
So
Um,
speaking of the game we thought was the game of the week, the Rams and the Seahawks.
yeah, this and again, exactly what we're talking about. Sam Darnold throws 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions. I tell you that with a blindfold on and say, "All right, guess the score, John." You would have said, "Oh, Rams must have won 38 to 35 to 6, just like the Jags beat the Chargers." John, crazy thing. If I put a blindfold over your face and I said, "Can you guess the final scores of the Jags Chargers game and the Rams Seahawks game?" You would have predicted the ugly 21-19 slop being the Jags Chargers game, absolutely. And you would have put the 35-6 game on Rams Seahawks if I told you Darnold threw 4 picks.
Yes.
But it's completely flipped. And even though Darnold does throw 4 picks, the Rams offense was unable to really do much of anything against Seattle. They capitalized on a couple of the turnovers, but not all of them, and they couldn't really move the ball otherwise. And that led to the Seahawks being able to be in it, even though Darnold played pretty bad. And not for nothing, the way kickers are today, there's maybe about half the kickers in the NFL that would have won that game for the Seahawks, made that 61-yarder, maybe 10 kickers or so. So that wasn't like, yeah, it was long, but it wasn't impossible. It was very makeable in a dome like that to go steal that win when
Yeah,
Darnold
if
throws
you're
4
kicking that
picks.
field goal with a K ball, like yeah, it's probably like
It's
what
makeable.
like a 55 yarder would have been like before the K balls were used, I
Right.
guess.
Right. So, like, the fact that the Seahawks throw 4 interceptions and stay in the game like that, to me, I'd be, like, little worried about Sam Darnold in a big game, but I'd be very pleased with my defense and very optimistic that, you know what, maybe our defense is good enough that we can bail out a bad Sam Darnold performance in the playoffs. Maybe I don't need Sam Darnold to string 4 straight huge games, good games together because he can throw a stinker because my defense can steal one. I'd feel that sort of optimism, and then I look at the Rams side of it, and I'd be like, "Dude, I know it's a division game, but Jesus Christ, we got 4 picks, we should have blown out these guys." But now I'd be a little hesitant, like, if the Seahawks defense was able to do this, they're having a great year. Look at what the Eagles defense is doing to the Lions and the Packers. The Rams, as much as people say, "Oh, the Rams would beat the Eagles if they got them again," it might just be a low-scoring, ugly mess, and the Eagles tend to win those. So,
Yeah,
maybe not.
I would say for the Rams, like listen, the Rams have got great PR. Um I
You're
think
not sold on the
I think the
Rams.
Rams defense is good, but man, I do have to say that
The
with Sam,
corners played good against Seattle.
I want to say this about Sam Darnold. He's the new Kirk. He's going to put up really nice numbers. We're going to see stretches like, man, he looked like the best quarterback in the NFL when he was cooking the
Mhm,
Washington
mhm.
Commanders, cooking them, straight up dicing them to shreds. Well, see, Sam Darnold's issue, and I think this is going to be the issue his whole career, is he just can't process pressure. When he's getting
Yeah,
pressured, he just folds.
yeah. No, and, like, big games tends to come too. It's very, very similar to that, like, 2014 to 2016 era of Kirk Cousins.
Like
You
look at
know,
that. Like look at that game he when they played. So they played in the wild card last year. Tampa, right?
the Vikings,
Yeah, who they play?
the Rams.
Oh, they played the. That's right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, no, terrible game again, and they almost, you could argue, maybe should have even won it, and they almost did, but the Rams do get out of there with a win, which in a division game like that, seeding, division implications on the line, they can't be too upset with the win, but I'd be a little I'd wanna see my offense get back to cooking this week to make me feel a little bit better about things. Another NFC West game, this was far less interesting, far more boring. Jacoby Brissett, shout out, broke the record for most completions in an NFL game with 47. Unbelievable. Michael Wilson goes for 15 catches for a buck 85, and they only scored 22 points, and they gave up 41. So, with those crazy numbers out there, it does not matter. They kinda got railed. Brock Purdy looked good in
I
his
wouldn't say they
return.
kind of got railed. They got railed.
Yeah, Brock Purdy looked good in his return. George Kittle had a nice day. I would be, if I
Jalen
was a Niner
Jennings
fan,
played
I'd be
well.
very pleased. Yeah, I'd be very pleased if I was a Niners fan with this performance.
Again, I will say this about the Niners. Listen, man, I'm sorry. They're missing Fred Warner.
They're
They're
banged up.
missing they're missing Bosa for the season, both guys. That's just hard to overcome, man. That's just really, really hard to overcome. Like I could see, like I don't. And listen, LaFleur and Shanahan are not under contract with their respective teams next year. I don't understand why Kyle Shanahan does not have a new contract yet. Coaches never typically, like, and you know this. Coaches typically never get to the final year of their contract.
Yeah, they usually get fired or extended. Um, and
And
when
I
you're
don't.
coaching
We
on
certainly could
borrowed
both agree
time,
Shanahan should not be fired.
no, no, he should not. He's a big reason why they go on offense. Or Matt Jones having these great stats with not super large depth of target numbers because he's just manufacturing stuff
And
underneath,
look,
and it's like an extended handoff.
And look, I could honestly see that because we're going to see a lot of we're going to see a lot of openings in about 7 weeks when Black Monday rolls around, Michael.
Yeah.
We're going to see, I think we're going to see at least four more coaches get fired.
Yeah, probably. The
Probably.
last game we have to talk about here are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. Big game to lose some money on, let me tell you. I was very
Go
in
on.
belief of Kansas City. And I guess, Denver's defense is just that good. No Pat Surtain, and they're able to really shut it down.
I,
Um,
Michael, I'm going to pat my. You're beating me in our picks like counts.
yeah.
I am proud of myself this week. I was very proud of my takes. I feel like I got a
Yeah,
good amount of
listen,
them.
we had good weeks this week. We both had 9 wins this week picking, which is pretty good. 9 out of 16. So, or wait, that's not right. 9 out of 15. Yes. 9 out of 15. Pretty good, man. That's very good. But I got this one wrong. Um, Denver's defense is very, very legit, and it is just, you know, this is just a different version of the 2015 Broncos. It's a slightly worse defense, probably. Maybe not slightly, maybe worse defense. It's not 2015 Broncos were historic. But I think we can agree that Bo Nix is probably better than Peyton Manning in 2015. Um,
Is
that
he
Peyton
better
Manning
than a
threw
one-legged man? Yes, I would agree with you on that.
and
Yes.
and and Brock Osweiler, both of them, better than both those guys. And even though Bo Nix is still not good, like, at all, he does have enough arm juice to kinda make some big throws, and if he just makes just enough, they find ways to win, and he did, and
What
Mahomes and the
what
Chiefs
what
did
are,
not
what were
make
you,
enough good plays.
what are your thoughts? I want to ask you something real quick. The pick six that got overturned. There was contact on that play.
Yeah.
Is it true Pat Mahomes has had the most interceptions called back from penalties?
I
More
don't
than
know if that's true. It could just be someone make I could see that being a
someone
fake
being
stat.
butthurt. But I
Yeah.
will say this though, man. We talk about like bad OCs, right? Obviously, I just mentioned Zach Robinson. We just spent 10 minutes venting about Kevin Patullo. When is Matt Nagy going to be included in that conversation?
I don't know. I think he's kinda there with
Because
Chiefs
he does
fans, but
not have an excuse.
no, I mean, it's not an excuse. This is just what he is, man. Like, this is what the Bears were. This is under Trubisky. Like, it's just not good. And Mahomes, I think, is struggling a little bit more than usual because of it too. Like, I think the lack of just consistent explosiveness is creating is
Because
is a
all we
product of
talked
him not
about
doing it
was
as much.
because like the surge that the Ravens are on, we thought was what Kansas City was going to be on when Rashi Rice came back.
Yeah.
They stomped the Raiders and we're like, oh yeah, the Chiefs are back now, man. Raiders blow. They're just a terrible team. It's like they're like the Giants, right?
Yeah,
They're
the Chiefs, they showed their flashes, but it hasn't been consistent enough. And like Xavier Worthy is just I don't know. Like he's not it just feels like the Chiefs try to just recreate Tyreek Hill in the aggregate. I don't know, it's so weird. Like they want to have a guy that they can hand the ball to and pitch it to and get these screens, and then they every now and again try to take their deep shot. Mahomes doesn't do it as much, and it's just getting the ball in the hands of your receivers quick, but your receivers can't make great plays. It's just it's not what it used to be, and it's like they're just not letting receivers be normal receivers. They're trying to do all the creative stuff, and I don't think they need to be as gimmicky at times. I think they can just kind of run a normal offense and be able to have some more
well, the
success
big issue that
consistently.
the Chiefs have, Michael, and I think you would agree with that, is they can't run the ball because they have probably
Yes.
the worst running back room in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Kareem Hunt, he so Kareem Hunt leads the league in um success rate, but he's last in the league in explosive run rate. So like on first down, you need 4 yards, Kareem Hunt's your guy. Second and one, Kareem Hunt's your guy. Third and two, Kareem Hunt's your guy. You're getting those first downs, but that's all he's getting you. So when you only can run the ball for like 3 to 4, like 4 yards on first down, and if you can only run the ball and peak at like 4 yards, 5 yards, teams are just not going to really worry too much about it because you don't have a good enough running back and whatnot to turn a 4 yard run into a 18-yard run because you can just accelerate through the hole, break an arm tackle, and make a cut to get, 20 yards on a play. Kareem Hunt's not doing that. Isaiah Pacheco's not doing that anymore. He did that for 1 year, but he's not doing that anymore. So the Chiefs can run the ball and have an interestingly good success rate, but they're not going to have any explosive plays from it. And when you don't have to worry about the explosive plays, you can really take away the passing ones and just understand that they're going to be nickel and diming you down the field, even through the run game.
Yeah, and I
And
also
it
do think
becomes easy
now
to,
that teams realize this is kind of what Kansas City's offense is. I don't have to worry about keeping. I don't have to go quarters. I don't have to keep guys over the top because I kind of said Xavier Worthy reminds me a lot of Todd Bankston, where he's just a wildly inconsistent player, always banged up. He's really fast, but that's his only skill. Like you just brought up, they're trying to create Tyreek Hill on the aggregate. Like, geez, Michael, like with the Eagles, after they got rid of Deshaun Jackson, they tried to recreate him on the aggregate with like Josh Huff and like other
yeah,
guys. Like it just doesn't work. And
yeah,
and look, I, I don't know if Tyreek Hill's gonna be like able to play football again, but I would not be surprised if they I would not be surprised if the Chiefs bring him back and he's just cooked.
yeah. I think they need an overhaul of the. I think they need a new OC, and I think they need pretty much an entire overhaul of their weapon room. Like you can keep Rasheed Rice. I guess you can keep Xavier Worthy, but like you need a true alpha receiver or just another actual good traditional receiver. Stop like Rasheed Rice, they're just trying to feed the ball like a running back almost with runs and screens almost exclusively. They don't really attack vertically with Rasheed Rice. So you need like a true genuine receiver next to him. Travis Kelsey, while still proving to be pretty reliable, is just old, so he's not. You can't lean on him for 15 targets a game,
Well,
every
I would
week
say
like you
the
used
thing
to.
with Travis Kelsey is in his prime, he was sort of kind of like what Gronk was when he would get in the open
He
field,
was, yeah,
hard to tackle. Now because he's older and he's just old, like he's kind of like Zach Ertz, where he just doesn't get you any yak anymore.
yeah, and he's old, and like he's like that, but then he also like, he's not on the field every play because he can't. Like his body, he's old. He's not going to play 95% of the snaps like he used to.
Yeah,
He's going to be in that like
it's like
65,
when
70
it's like
range.
another way different positions, but like when Fletch was here, he couldn't be on the field as much, so he was used in spurts. But when he was used in spurts, he was good. It was when he was on the field the whole game was when you saw like his
Right,
issues
right,
started to
right, right.
stand out.
And like it's a little, yeah, it's a right. So the Chiefs need a little overhaul there offensively, but I mean defensively, they did well enough. Just didn't make enough plays on offense to get that win. So yeah, it looks like that's the Broncos division to lose now. They should really cruise to the AFC West title at this point, and they're in legitimate contention with New England and I guess Indy for the bye
Wow,
in the AFC.
wow! This I can't believe we're saying in the year 2025, the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Colts are all
Yeah,
vying for supremacy.
yeah.
In
Feels like back in the day, man. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Very intrigued on the AFC playoff picture. I think it's gonna be super fascinating. But yeah, that is our show. It looks like we ripped through those games, a lot of bye weeks. Talked about Thursday. This was good. This was a
yeah.
this
We're
was a
gonna
nice
we're
one.
gonna talk more about all sports this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like, truth be told, there's just not a ton going on at the moment, worth of note. So yeah, that wraps
Let's
it up.
go, everybody.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Pod, Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on firedupsports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.